Hey guys, this is Timmy, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited, as we are here on, what's the date today? The 23rd of May, 2020, to talk about everything that went down tonight at AEW Dynamite. No, AEW Double or Nothing. I'm used to saying AEW Dynamite. It's kind of, habit at this point since they've been running since October. What is it? October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 7 months now of AEW Dynamite, but we're not here to talk about Dynamite. We're here to talk about AEW a Double or Nothing. And I see a bunch of you are hyped up after this show in the live chat. You guys really loved what happened here tonight. So I ask you guys, if you liked the show tonight, text us. Let us know what you thought of Dynamite. You can text your thoughts in to 510-906-1341. Again, text your thoughts on the show to 510-906-1341. And before we get into it, we got to see, who's here with us in the live chat. We do have Kristen McNutt, Gabriel Perez, Sinclair Saturday, Derek Bocek, Thomas EO504, Young Tev, Ashton Tyler, Wayne Montgomery, Dorian Abercrombie, and so many more of you. What is going on? Again, like I stated, if you liked the show or if you didn't like something on the show, let us know by texting your thoughts to 510-906-1341. Again, the number is 510-906-1341. So Double or Nothing started off with the match on the pre-show. The pre-show match was a phenomenal opening contest. It was a match to determine the new number one contenders for the AEW Tag Team Champions. Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. I don't know why that just slipped my mind. This match saw the Best Friends taking on Private Party. This was primarily a spot fest kind of a match, but done in a way that it wasn't just spot after spot out of nowhere for no reason. It seemed like the spots made sense when they happened. Trent sold his ribs throughout this match, but this was otherwise a series of moves put together in a good fashion. Chuck Taylor and Isaiah Cassidy. I always forget it's Isaiah Cassidy. Yeah, Isaiah Cassidy began the match. Cassidy repeatedly kipped up after getting knocked down by Taylor every single time. They slapped hands in respect and tagged out. Quinn hit a standing moonsault on Trent for a near fall. Trent took over on Quinn with a spear. All four guys then jumped in, and Cassidy and Taylor hit dueling standing sliced breads. At one point, Quinn tagged in and put Trent in a headlock. Cassidy whipped Trent into the barricade on the floor. Trent came back with a spear to Cassidy. Quinn hit a tope con Rio to Trent. Later on, Cassidy got a hot tag and landed a moonsault off the post to Taylor on the floor, and then hit Trent with a flatliner for a 2. Quinn then used a pop-up double stomp on Trent for a 2. Trent used a pair of back suplexes on both members of Private Party before tagging himself out. Best Friends hit their half-and-half suplex soul food combo on Cassidy and did their hug spot. Quinn used Trent as a launch pad for a standing shooting star press. Quinn and Cassidy then hit a clunky G9 on Taylor in tribute to Shad Gaspard. The finish of the match then saw Taylor pull Cassidy to the floor. Trent set up for the strong zero. Taylor hit the foot stomp off the top, and Trent pinned Quinn. So the Best Friends are the new number one contenders to the AEW Tag Team Champions. Ethan Taylor with some breaking news. He said Britt Baker out for 6 weeks. Tony said AEW post-show. Awesome. Because they said, so we'll skip it forward a little bit. They said Britt Baker suffered a LCL tear. Now, an LCL tear most of the time does not require surgery. This is what I was able to gather by looking up on Google and whatnot. Most of the time, an LCL tear is not needed of surgery. If it is a grade 1 LCL tear, 2 to 4 weeks. If it is a grade 2 LCL tear, a month to 2 months. So that sounds like it may have been a grade 2 LCL tear. If Tony Khan said, what's it called? If Tony Khan said, why can't I think? 6 weeks. So that's good. Britt Baker will be on the show Wednesday to give an update as well. So it's glad to see that she's only going to be out for about a month or two. And that's as long as it heals properly and surgery is not required. But if Tony Khan is saying 6 weeks, then I believe that they're under the impression that surgery is not needed. So the main show. Wait. PlayStation Guy 85 says AEW video game come on. Was something announced that I didn't see? Or are you just asking for it? Because I haven't heard anything on the AEW video game. Unless something was announced that maybe I missed. I don't know. So the main card opens up with a Moxley Brody Lee hype video. Excalibur introduced Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross on commentary as his partners on the pay-per-view. The first match of the night is the Casino Ladder match. This was a crazy, crazy match with a lot of scary bumps, especially one from Darby Allen from Brian Cage. Holy crap. There were some botched spots, a little sloppiness, but when you get these many guys together, there's often going to be a few little slip-ups. Two men started off, and the premise of this match was two men started. A new competitor was introduced every 2 minutes. I thought it was 90 seconds. Maybe I heard that wrong when they initially announced the rules, but it was every 2 minutes. And the match could end at any time, but of course, all 9 men came out before the match ended, and it ended well after all 9 men came out. Interesting enough, SCU's Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian were the first two to actually start this match, and they started with a hot opening exchange. Next up was Kip Sabian. He came out with Penelope Ford. Jimmy Havoc then climbed out of the crowd and introduced the ladders to the match. Havoc and Sabian hit a tandem Michinoku driver dropkick. Kazarian suplexed Havoc into a ladder. Sabian teased a dive off of a huge ladder on the floor, but didn't deliver at that point. Darby Allen would come out next. He immediately hit a tope on Sky, Sabian, and Jimmy Havoc. Allen set up a ladder bridge from the apron to the barricade. Allen then threw a skateboard at Kazarian. Then Darby Allen tried to kill himself. He literally climbed to the top of like a 15, 20-foot ladder with a skateboard in hand and presumably dropped in on another ladder. He went to jump on top of Kazarian with the skateboard. Kazarian moved, and he smashed through the ladder bridge. And I'm glad Kazarian moved and they didn't try to go for the spot because, Kaz would have been so hurt off of that. I'm surprised Darby was okay in both of the crazy spots he did. So next up came Orange Cassidy, and he walked over to the commentary booth, and they had to recite the rules for him. They're like, bro, Cody's told you these rules a couple times already. Cassidy did some comedy spots where he couldn't figure out how to lift up and set up a ladder, so Excalibur kept calling him lazy, saying, you know what, he's probably just going to wait for someone to set the ladder up for him. He's being lazy. He's just lazy. And I'm like, they're overdoing it a little bit here. I thought so, at least. Colt Cabana would come out next. Cabana was the first person to actually climb up and almost get the chip. He touched it, but was knocked down. Took a flat back bump while holding onto the ladder. Cassidy hit his trademark kicks and a tope on Sky and Kaz. Joey Janela would come out next. And I was hoping Joey Janela would have like a star-making performance here. Because if you remember with Kofi last year, he wasn't supposed to be in that gauntlet match. Ali got hurt. Kofi got put in his place. Star performance. Joey Janela comes out here replacing the injured Rey Fenix. Just another guy used to throw around. He hit a dive off the stage and a step-up leg lariat off of a chair over the barricade. Kazarian then climbed the ladder and Sky nailed him with a chair. Sabian hit Kazarian with a DDT off the ladder. Luchasaurus would come out next. They really played up that he's a big, powerful, strong guy, which played into the mystery opponent. He powered Sabian over the top rope and onto a bunch of guys who caught him on the floor. Luchasaurus slammed Kazarian on a ladder. Allen then hit a code red off of the second rope on Luchasaurus. And then the final participant came out, And it was none other than former Impact World Champion Brian Cage, who I have been saying all week was most likely to be the mystery guy. And it looks like he's being managed by Taz, and his first program is going to be with Darby Allen. So Taz has been trying to recruit Darby Allen for a couple of weeks now to no avail. Well, he's recruited Brian Cage instead. And so Cage, mystery opponent, comes out here, hit a series of his trademark spots, and laid out everyone but Orange Cassidy. Cage then climbs up the ladder. Orange Cassidy jumps on his back, and, well, Cage keeps climbing before everyone tries to throw him down. Where was I? Everyone piled ladders on top of Cage after they threw him out of the ring. They even threw a piece of the barricade, a chair, and a poker chip on him. And the commentary was like, they put Cage in a cage. They put Cage in a cage. Yeah, okay. You're stretching it a little bit there. Sabin hit a coast-to-coast into a ladder on Cabana. Sabin climbed, but Kazarian dropped him with a ladder shot. Sabin and Cassidy climbed the ladder. Sabin took a bump off the ladder into another ladder. Penelope Ford would then climb the ladder, and she tried to stop Orange Cassidy, but Orange Cassidy pushed her off, and she landed on Kip Sabian, who was leaned up against the ladder in the corner. Jimmy Havoc would then interfere, and Best Friends would run down. Chuck Taylor, no shoes, said, fuck it, I don't have time to put my shoes back on. He came out to help Orange Cassidy to neutralize Jimmy Havoc. Marco Stunt would then all of a sudden appear out of nowhere on a tiny ladder. He then gave Orange Cassidy an assisted chokeslam with Luchasaurus off the ladder. He then hit a tope suicida to the outside, and I loved Excalibur's move here, because JR was like, well, that's not really a tope. What would you call that? And he goes, it's a lope. Excalibur was like, it's a lope. Because instead of hitting it through the top and middle or over the top rope, he hit it through the bottom and middle ropes. And I loved him calling it a lope suicida. That was just a great line. Luchasaurus and Kazarian tried a spot that didn't really work. It looked like Luchasaurus botched it slightly. Not sure exactly what was supposed to go on there. Joey Janela hit a running Death Valley driver off the apron on Orange Cassidy and landed on the pile of stuff on top of Cage. Scorpio Sky and Kazarian climbed the ladder, but Luchasaurus and Cage, who all of a sudden just powered up out of nowhere, took them out. Luchasaurus and Cage traded strikes, and Cage powerbombed Luchasaurus onto a ladder. Cage began to climb, and Darby Allen jumped in the ring and tried to stop Cage from climbing. Cage then hit his finisher on Allen. Cage set up a ladder across the top rope. Allen laid across the ladder, and then fell off. The camera cut away, and they tried again. Cage pressed the ladder, and so here's the thing. Ladders, if you didn't see it or you're like, what the heck? Ladders laid up above the top rope. Darby Allen then lays on top of the ladder. Cage then picks the ladder up. So Cage is holding this ladder like this with Darby Allen laying on it. And what does he do? He throws it off the top rope into another ladder at ringside. Darby goes crashing down, and I'm like, phew. They're so lucky that was not a bad spot, that Darby did not get hurt there, because that could have been really, really bad. Taz then came down, yelling at Darby at one point. I think it was right before that spot. And Cage climbed the ladder, retrieved the chip, and Taz was excited. Taz said that Cage will continue dropping bodies. So commentary was like, why is Taz with Brian Cage? Well, why is Brian Cage with Taz? What does this all mean? And it looks like, Taz is now maybe managing Brian Cage because, well, I forget exactly what it says, but Cage's music starts with Taz saying something. It's like, who can see the potential in the cage, or who can put Brian, or something about a cage in a cage. But this does solidify that Brian Cage is coming in as a heel, even though he would make a tremendous babyface. They do need some more heels in AEW. They have too many babyfaces right now, I think. Or, not that they have too many babyfaces. They have too many guys that people love. Brian Cage is somebody that they could easily get over with the crowd as a babyface. But pairing him with Taz easily makes him a heel And so Taz can do the talking for him. Cage, who is a good talker, can also do some talking for himself, but only like one-liners here and there after Taz cuts the promo. Basically, AEW's got their Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Because Taz is a great talker. Taz can basically talk with the best in AEW, if not better than most, if not better than everybody. And then Cage is there just to be, the big brute that's going to just destroy people. I don't know when he gets his title shot, since he is now the number one contender. Maybe he gets it at All Out, which, fast forwarding a little bit, All Out, September 5th. They did not give a location, though. So, hey, we'll see. We'll see. Next up, we had a basically near perfect match, in my opinion, with MJF and Jungle Boy. These two couldn't have done much better. Like, there were things they maybe could have done to make it a better match, but I can't say there was anything in the match that was bad or that they did bad. So, the match began with some old school chain wrestling. Commentary really put up how these guys are the future of not just AEW, but the entire wrestling business. MJF pretended he had a knee injury, so the doctor jumped in, check him out, and MJF just popped up and went after Jungle Boy. And JR had to tell us this is Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Not Jungle Boy, but Jungle Boy Jack Perry, the son of the late, great Luke Perry. And that Luke Perry was an executive producer on the Ric Flair 30 for 30, so wrestling's in his blood. Like, what? How is wrestling in his blood? Because his dad executive produced a documentary about Ric Flair. I don't know. So MJF hit a backbreaker, and Jungle Boy came back with some hard chops and 3 consecutive dives. MJF cut him off with a springboard, a double stomp to the left arm. Started working over that left arm for his Fujiwara armbar. They traded chops and palm strikes. Jungle Boy hit a destroyer. MJF no-sold it and popped up into a thrust kick. Jungle Boy grabbed a crossface but gave up the hold when his arm gave out. Remember, MJF had been working over the arm. MJF then hit a package pile driver for a near fall. Jungle Boy hit a poison Rana on the apron. They executed it safely, but this was the one spot where I was like, man, that could have gone wrong. And I'm glad it didn't, so can't really fault him for it, but I wouldn't have done that spot because there's literally no margin for error with a move like that. Jungle Boy hit a sit-out powerbomb off the middle ropes for a near fall. MJF went for a shoulder breaker, but his back gave out for some reason. They traded cradles for a pair of quick near falls. MJF fought to get the assault of the earth applied. Jungle Boy used a schoolboy and only got a 2 off of it. Finished and saw another exchange of quick cradles, and MJF used a Euro clutch to get the pin. Very creative spot here with the way MJF picked up the victory. It showed that MJF does have a wide variety of moves in his moveset, and he's not just, I don't want to say 5 moves that we know from MJF, but he's not just the cookie cutter moveset that most people say that he has. Like, yeah, MJF's got some cool moves here and there, but a lot of times he does all the same stuff. But here it showed that he's got versatility, and I really liked that. And in the way that the finish came, and it was like trading cradles and he caught him, Jungle Boy didn't look bad. Jungle Boy got a lot in this match and still looked good coming out of it. So then, Mike Tyson enters with the TNT Championship. And at first I'm like, this thing is awful. God awful. This does not look good. I prefer the 24/7 championship. This is like somebody went and said, hey, design the belt for me. And they went in WWE 2K20 and did it in 20 seconds and said, okay, send that to the maker. But they did let us know that because of the pandemic, the belt is not completed. It still needs to get some gold plating added to it. And in the near future, we will see the completed TNT Championship. So it's not what the belt's going to look like when it's done. It's going to look different eventually. Eventually, so we'll see. Bryce Remberg offered the competitors Mike Tyson, like I said, came out with the belt. Lance Archer entered. and hit a chokeslam on Lee Johnson. He threw him in the ring. Tyson then acted appalled by this behavior. Referee Bryce Remsburg offered the competitors an opportunity to shake hands before the opening contest, and, well, nope, that didn't happen. Then we got Cody versus Lance Archer, TNT Championship, Arn Anderson with Cody, Jake Roberts with Lance Archer, and at one point, I think JR either called Lance Archer Lance Roberts or Jake Roberts Lance Archer, something like. He got some name mixed up, and he's like someone's he stumbled over a name, and I think it was Jake's name, but I can't remember exactly. So this would have been an amazing match if there was a full crowd, but it was good. I'll say that. I think a full crowd with their reactions would have made this match better. And I'm not saying the match was bad by any means. But Cody matches usually benefit from that massive crowd reaction. Because Cody just gets those reactions that almost nobody else gets from a crowd other than like Moxley. And I'm talking about in all of wrestling. Like Cody's right up there with his crowd reactions with Okada and Moxley. Archer hit the blackout right away and teased like he was going to win. When he went for the cover, Cody rolled to the outside. Archer went for an EBD claw, but Cody grabbed an armbar. Archer broke the hold. Cody went for the cutter, but Archer then hit him with a pounce. They brawled out around ringside, and Cody took a Beal on the floor. Pace slowed down here just a little bit before they made their way back into the ring. Archer walked the top rope into a moonsault, and they said, oh, I guess we got to call that the Archer salt now. Cody hit a delayed vertical suplex. Archer answered with a vertical suplex of his own. Archer exposed a buckle, and Cody sent Archer into the exposed buckle. Archer press slammed Cody on the top rope to the floor, or off the top rope to the floor. Archer then choked Cody with the bottom rope. Archer then hit a ripcord Uranagi for a near fall. Archer then hit a splash. They brawled on the outside again and traded punches on the floor. At one point, Cody hit a stinger splash, and Archer no-sold it and hit a choke slam for a 2. Archer then used the EBD claw, but Cody kicked out. Jake Roberts then took the referee while Archer walked the top rope. Anderson crotched Archer on the top, and Cody hit a suplex. A second referee ran down and alerted the referee, hey, did you see what just happened with Arn Anderson? And so for some reason, the referee looks at Mike Tyson and goes, what should I do? And Tyson goes, get him out of here. Just kick him out. So he kicks out Arn Anderson. And for good measure, he said, you know what? I might as well kick out Jake too. And he kicks out Jake. But Jake never officially leaves. So Jake goes through the tunnel. But then he comes back and he's got a bag which we assume has a snake in it. Tyson jumped up from his seat, took his shirt off, and dared Jake Roberts to walk closer to the ring. He basically postured up, ready to fight. And I'm like, oh, Jake's going to get knocked out. Roberts. Oh, no, I already read that. Archer, at this point, then went for the blackout. But Cody blocked it, hit a crossroads, and pinned him to pick up the victory and become the first ever TNT champion. There we go. Cody is your champion. I've seen a lot of people upset with this, and I'm like, why? And people are like, Cody shouldn't be a champion. He's an executive in the company. He already said he wouldn't go for any more titles after he lost to Jericho. Blah, blah, blah. Like, no. I'm so over people complaining that Cody gets too much TV time, that Cody's picks up wins that he shouldn't be picking up. It's like, really? Then why should Kenny Omega, why is it okay for Kenny to be half of the tag team champions with Hangman? He's an executive. Why don't people bitch about that? Because they don't like Cody or something? I don't know. It's a little annoying. Alex Marvez then interviewed Dr. Sampson about Britt Baker's injuries, as we stated. He said the injuries aren't that bad. They're not as bad as the actual injured wrestler, who's pretty high maintenance. He said that she tore her LCL and she would give an update. He said that she's a role model and wants to speak to her fans herself, and will give an update on her status and when she can get back in the ring this Wednesday on Dynamite. Next up, we got Chris Statlander versus Penelope Ford. If I had to say which was the worst match of the night, because someone's going to ask it, I would say either this or the Dustin Shawn Spears match. Only, and I may say Dustin Shawn Spears only for what it was, because it wasn't a full-on both guys ready to fight, let's do a full real kind of match. It was kind of like a gimmick deal. So if I had to say what was worse, because these are the two low totem pole matches, I wouldn't say either was bad, because nothing like really bad happened. Yes, the Chris Statlander Penelope Ford match had its sloppy spots. So maybe I go that one. I guess I'd go Chris Statlander. Penelope Ford was like the lowest rated match of the night. They worked hard for sure, but like I said, there were some sloppy spots. Sabin came out with Penelope Ford. He was all bandaged up and even on crutches. Statlander used a kick. No, I read that wrong. Statlander used, they said, side headlock and took over early. Ford grabbed Statlander's hair. Sabin distracted Statlander and Ford hit a draping DDT. Ford used a chin lock. Statlander came back with a suicide dive. On both Ford and Sabin. Statlander then hit a high kick and a running knee. Statlander hit a Falcon Arrow for a near fall. Ford blocked a Big Bang Theory and answered with an inverted DDT. Ford did a back bend and tried a stunner. Statlander blocked Ford and hit a top rope Rana. Finish of the match saw Statlander block a back handspring, hit a Blue Thunder Bomb, and the Big Bang Theory to pick up the victory. Chris Statlander does defeat Penelope Ford, who was in this match filling in for Britt Baker, and they did state on commentary, how is Chris Statlander going to be in this match against Penelope Ford? She's been training and getting ready to fight Britt Baker and was only informed last night that the opponent had been changed. And I'm like, she'll be fine. And she was fine. Shawn Spears enters the ring in a suit. He said, Dustin Rhodes, well, he's not here. He's home, washing his tights. He popped in a 1989 Batman reference. Dustin's music then plays, and everyone's waiting, and nothing happens. And Spears goes, I got you guys. You fell for it. You thought he was coming out. Spears then looked at Aubrey Edwards and said, start the match. Count. I'm going to win by count out. A win is a win. This match needs to be made official. He's not here. Let's go. And Aubrey's like, let's wait. He's like, let's go. Start the match, ref. And she's like, fine. Ring the bell. Starts counting when Dustin's music plays again. And Spears goes, he looks over at production and goes, whoa, hey. It was just a joke once. I only said play it once. But it keeps playing before Brandy walks out. And Brandy doesn't say anything. And Spears is like, what are you doing out here? Why are you out here? And finally, we see Dustin appear behind Shawn Spears. And Brandy's like, turn around. And so he turns around and he gets his ass beat by Dustin Rhodes. Not much really to say here on this match other than it was just Dustin beating the tar out of Shawn Spears. He ripped all the clothes off of Shawn Spears other than his underwear, revealed that he had a picture of Tully Blanchard on his crotch. He hit the final reckoning and pinned Spears. Not much to talk about here because it was like a nothing match. That's why I would almost say it was worse than Chris Statlander Penelope Ford for what it was. But they did nothing wrong in Dustin and Spears. And they did have some sloppy spots in Statlander and Ford. But to me, wasn't a big fan of it. I thought that they should do an actual match. Especially if Dustin's not retiring. If he's still going to be competing, then why do you have to have him come out here and just have this nothing fight, I guess you can say. We then got a graphic for Hana Kimura. Excalibur gave a sincere speech about the tragedy of her death at 22 years old and asked everyone to be a little nicer on social media. I'm seeing a lot in the chat Let me look something up really fast. Looks like something... Yep, it looks like we do now know when Jon Moxley will defend his title against Brian Cage. Tony Khan has announced that Jon Moxley will defend the AEW Championship against Brian Cage at Fyter Fest. More info to be announced this week. Give me 1 second, guys. They're not waiting at all. They're just doing this. Which is weird that they're announcing this on the post-media scrums and not on the actual show, because they announced All Out. All right. Cool. We got that out there so people now know. So going forward, we got the AEW Women's World Championship match, and I had fun watching this match. I thought this match was actually really good. Give me 1 more second. I'm seeing something else in the chat that I need to look up. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, cool. Nothing. Okay. So I liked this match. I liked the Hikaru Shida Nyla Rose match a lot. I actually had a lot of fun watching this match. Nyla Rose looks like she has really improved since the start of AEW over the last year. So we'll see if she gets even better. So I do see a comment in the chat. Before I talk about this match, I do want to address that, because you're not the only one to ask me about this, Daniel Morrissey. So Daniel Morrissey asks about Brian Cage, when did he leave Impact and so forth. Well, he left Impact right after. His contract expired with the company right after the, I want to say, Homecoming pay-per-view? Give me 2 seconds and I can look into that. Hard to Kill pay-per-view. That's what it was. So right after the Hard to Kill pay-per-view, his contract did expire. That was back in January of 2020. So just in January. And then the rumors started flowing. Cage is going to AEW. His wife said no. She tried to defuse. She did the Edge thing. Rumor gets out there, or the real truth gets out there. And so you diffuse, you deny, try to keep it as big of a secret as possible, and then it happens. So, yeah, he left after the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. He had to have shoulder surgery, and he was cleared and ready to go for tonight. So that's what happened with Brian Cage. His contract expired. He got an offer from AEW, which I heard was equal. I don't want to say because I don't know for sure, so never mind. I was going to talk about what I was told about the contract offer, but it was never 100% confirmed if it was true, so I don't want to speak out of turn, actually. So again, Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose in a no countout, no DQ match with the women's title on the line. Rose entered with Shida's trademark kendo stick. They brawled over the stick early. Rose blocked a kendo stick shot and used the stick. Shida answered with a running knee lift. They brawled on the outside. Rose put Shida through a poker table and hit her with a chair. Back inside the ring, Shida blocked a beast bomb and came back with a series of knee strikes. They brawled back to the floor and around the ringside area. Shida then used some of the poker chips from the set to deliver a knee strike. Rose then hit a top rope draping knee strike for a near fall. Rose then set up a table in the corner and teased a DVD, but Shida blocked it. Rose instead then powerbombed her through the table, and this was the only bad spot of the match because Nyla Rose basically pulled a Nia Jax. Remember a couple weeks back when Nia went to buckle bomb Kairi Sane and she launched her early and Kairi whipped her head off of the middle and bottom ropes? Well, that's what happened here. Nyla threw Shida just a little off, and so instead of going right through the middle of the table, she barely cracked the bottom of the table, and luckily the table was there to break the fall. So after this, Rose hit a DVD and used a kendo stick to deliver more punishment. Rose went up to the top, but Shida cut her off and hit her with the Falcon Arrow off the top for a near fall. Shida then hit a Shining Wizard, and Rose kicked out at 2. Shida then dropped Rose with a kendo stick shot, and then hit another Shining Wizard to pick up the win and become the new AEW Women's World Champion. This is the third ever AEW Women's World Champion in Hikaru Shida. Long time coming. Glad they finally pulled the trigger. Hikaru Shida is going to make an amazing, amazing champion. I thought this match was really good. Almost great as far as AEW women's matches goes. But that one spot where Nyla threw her just a little off kind of took it down a little for me. But I think Hikaru Shida is going to be an amazing champion. And a commentary did a great job putting Shida over as not just one of the best females in the company, but maybe one of the best overall professional wrestlers in AEW to boot. So an interesting move. Last night, if you watched the Countdown show on TNT, they insinuated that the AEW World title match was the main event going on last, and that wasn't the case. It went on second to last, because they said, we have 2 main events here tonight. We have the AEW World Championship match with Jon Moxley defending against Brody Lee, and we have the Stadium Stampede. And, well, this was the co-main event. So I thought this was a really good back-and-forth brawl. These two worked great, and they've been phenomenally together, to be honest. Brody Lee missed a high kick early in the corner and fell to the floor. Moxley hit a Sope Suicida, and Lee wiped out through a piece of the barricade. Lee came back with a suplex on the floor. He then hit a series of front chancery suplexes in the ring. Lee then hit his own Tope Suicida. Lee suplexed Moxley on a piece of the barricade. The fight then returned to the ring, where they traded strikes. Moxley hit a lariat and a Gotch-style pile driver for a near fall. I bet you Moxley is loving being in AEW and being able to do the pile driver again, because he wasn't able to really do it in WWE. They also, I do have to say that these two, they said on commentary, these two men are not here fighting for the first time. They have a history with each other as far as always being around each other in the past. They never said WWE, but Excalibur went as far to say that these two shared many a locker room on the independent circuit, but never said that they shared the locker room a lot in WWE, because they were like, they shared many a locker room on the independent circuit up in the Northeast, but never said shared a locker room when they were in the other company, when they were at their old job, or however they would have insinuated WWE. So weird that they made it seem like these guys came from the indies or straight from the indies, but whatever. The fight, where was I? Nope. Moxley hit a backdrop on Lee off of some steps through the timekeeper's table after Lee tried to powerbomb Moxley through the table. And when he did this move, when Brody Lee went through the table, his legs, like say this is his feet and these are his legs, heels just went pop right on the edge of the barricade. Looked like it might have hurt. They went back inside the ring for Lee to superplex Moxley. They went back and forth where Lee whipped Moxley through some of the playing card set pieces. So they really did a lot of hardcore style stuff and got away with it not being DQs because they just threw each other into the set pieces. So I thought that was kind of clever, to be completely honest. Back inside the ring, Lee teased a powerbomb and Moxley blocked it. Lee hit his trademark big boot and then hit a sit-out powerbomb only for a 2. They then brawled up on the stage. Moxley used a poker chip as a weapon. That was kind of like should have been a DQ. That was the one spot where I thought it should have been a DQ. Moxley literally just cracked him with the chip. They brawled on the ramp, and Moxley hit a double DDT off of a elevated spot on the ramp through the actual ramp itself. They just crashed right through. And Moxley protected Lee's head. Great going through the portion of the stage. Just enough to break right through it. And it looked like an incredible break. There's just wood just crumbling everywhere. It was a cool looking spot. Referees and road agents all ran down to check on both guys. Moxley crawled out of the hole first, and then Lee came out after him, bleeding from the forehead. Moxley then hit a paradigm shift, but Lee kicked out at 1. Moxley hit a second paradigm shift, and Lee kicked out at 2. The finish of the match then saw Moxley use a bulldog choke and transition it to a rear naked choke. The referee then checked on Brody Lee. Brody Lee was not responsive. He basically had passed out, and the referee had to call for the match to end in referee stoppage, with Jon Moxley retaining the championship. So, Jon Moxley retains. Brody Lee doesn't technically get beat. He gets choked out, I guess you can say. And so it keeps him looking strong. But the one thing I didn't like from commentary was that they kept kind of saying that Brody Lee didn't deserve this title match. They were like, how can somebody come in here just a couple of weeks ago, less than 2 months ago, only be 5-0 and get a title shot against Moxley? Like, I didn't like that because it basically told us throughout most of this match of Brody Lee doesn't deserve this title shot, and he's not good enough for it yet either. But these two worked their asses off and put on a pretty damn good match. Then we move on to our main event, the Stadium Stampede. But before we get to our main event, I'm going to talk about our sponsor here today. Sponsor of this video is, of course, Manscaped. Flowers are blooming, the grass is grooming, and it's time to mow your lawn. Thanks to our sponsor, Manscaped, you can trim the hedges below the belt safely and efficiently. I'm talking about your ball trimmers. Manscaped is here to make sure your balls are smooth and smelling nice. After all, it's time for some spring cleaning. Now, people always say, oh yeah, you got to trim your balls up to look good for your partner. But it's not just for your partner. Because maybe you don't have a partner. Maybe you just want it to look good for yourself and feel good for yourself. But also, keeping it trimmed and clean down there also keeps it healthy. Because it doesn't, as some may say, it doesn't get all sweaty or as sweaty in your shorts when it's all hairy and doesn't have room to breathe. And Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-belt waist grooming. They have forever changed the grooming game with the Perfect Package 3.0. Precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. The Perfect Package 3.0 kit with the Essential Lawnmower 3.0 waterproof cordless body trimmer and a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your manscaping routine. This third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce manscaping accidents. Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to Manscaped's advanced skin-safe technology. Manscaped obsesses over technology to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience, and they only use the best ingredients in their formulations. Inside the Perfect Package, you'll also find the Manscaped Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. It's starting to get hot outside, and this is crucial so your balls stop sticking to your leg. Also, as our treat, you'll find the Crop Reviver, which will keep your balls smelling fresh, just like spring flowers. Subscribe to the Perfect Package and get a new replacement blade refill for your lawnmower trimmer delivered to your door every 3 months, making sure your trimmer always stays hygienic and clean. For a limited time, subscribers also get 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag, a $39 value, and the patented high-performance reduced chafing Manscaped boxer briefs. This is the Perfect Package for your Perfect Package. Get 20% off and free shipping with code PWUnlimited at manscaped.com. Do yourself a favor and always use the right tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with code PWUnlimited at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com when you use code PWUnlimited. It's spring cleaning, baby, and your balls will thank you. And as I've said before, it's called a manscaped. But how about a woman scaping down there too? I know females that use the Manscaped trimmer, that use it to trim their downstairs, but also use it to trim their legs because they have sensitive skin and get razor bumps with a normal razor. So even if you're a female, a Manscaped Trimmer 3.0, the Lawnmower 3.0, could also come in handy for you females. Just saying. Code PWUnlimited for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. So, we move on to our main event. The Stadium Stampede. Jaguars cheerleaders and the marching band were out there on the field for the entrances. The Inner Circle wore football uniforms and were announced with their numbers as a normal football team. They were like the captain, number 27, I think it was, Chris Jericho, which was his dad's hockey number. I think Guevara had number 93 because he was born in 1993. Hager may have had his old OU football number, and so forth. The Elite were introduced wearing their regular wrestling gear. The Bucks came out as co-captains. Kenny came out, Matt Hardy came out, and then they said, where's Hangman? Where's Hangman? And Kenny's like, he'll be here, he'll be here. And Matt's like, where is he? And Kenny's like, he'll be here. And so the match just starts. And there's no Hangman at first. And it was like, okay, cool, whatever. So Aubrey Edwards blows the whistle to begin the match, and they all start brawling on the football field. The ring was there, and I literally felt like the ring was used for 90 seconds at best. Well, no, I take that back. So I felt like a couple guys fought in the ring for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And other than that, I think Sammy dove off the ring to the outside, and Santana, I think it was, had an Asai moonsault off the ring. Other than that, the ring wasn't really used for anything else. So at one point, Sammy Guevara is standing in the middle of the field when all of a sudden, Hangman Page rides up on a fucking horse. Hangman's there on a horse doing some cowboy shit. Kristen, I didn't forget that because I didn't even catch that. So Hangman comes in and he chases down Sammy Guevara, basically the golf cart spot. Sammy goes running off, and Hangman's following after him, and they go through the tunnel. And so Santana and Ortiz are fighting with the Bucks. They do some stuff with the ring, like I stated. Omega hit a Snapdragon suplex on Santana. Hager hit a throw on Omega. Hardy hit a side effect on Hager. Guevara ran back to the field, and he climbed to the top rope, but missed the shooting star press attempt on Matt Hardy. Hardy hit another side effect on Guevara. Omega went for the V-trigger, but Jericho pulled him out of the ring. And then we see Page riding the horse backstage. Where are you, Sammy? Sammy, come out. And I go, Sammy's fighting in the fucking field again. You're not paying attention. And then I think at that same time I'm thinking that, I think the announcers are like, someone needs to inform Page that Guevara's back in the stadium or on the field. So at one point, Omega and Hardy brawl in the stands of Santana and Ortiz. They used a traffic cone as a weapon. Santana and Ortiz used a Mad Ball loaded sock on Matt Hardy. Omega then used the Mad Ball on Santana and Ortiz. Ortiz then threw salt in Omega's eyes. Santana and Ortiz hit a gut buster on Omega on the barricade. Santana and Ortiz hit a tandem power bomb on Omega through a piece of the barricade as they balanced it on a table. Kind of impressive that it actually cracked the way it did, and it didn't like just blow the tables out from under it and just, yeah. Santana and Ortiz then noticed, hey, it's a swimming pool. There's the swimming pool. And I think it was Santana yells, Matt, You want to go swimming with the fishes? And they threw Matt in the pool, and the first thing they go is, this is going to be the pool of reincarnation, and of course it was. So they dunk Matt under the ring, or under the water, and he comes back up as classic Matt Hardy. Hardy Boys Matt Hardy. They dunked him again, and he comes up as Matt Hardy version 1, and we had Matt Fax. I forget exactly what they called him. They weren't Matt Fax, but they were something similar. They dunked him again, and he came back up as broken Matt Hardy. It's funny, though, because Ortiz at first, I always get them mixed up. I think it might have been Ortiz. So Santana jumps in the water with Matt, and Ortiz, he's like, get in here, get in here. He's like, I ain't getting in there, I can't swim. And he's like, it's not even deep. You can walk in the water. You can walk in this pool. So Hardy hit Ortiz with the stadium bell, then duct taped him to a chair of wheels, wheelchair, of course. Hardy stuffed Santana into a freezer and closed it up with a broomstick so he couldn't get out. At one point, we see Hangman get off the horse and walk towards the lobby where the bar is. Hager's walking around and yelling for Hangman when he finally shows up at the bar and goes, I knew I'd find you here. And he just sits down next to him. And Paige is like, screw the match, I need a drink. And he just pours himself a drink, then he pours a drink and gives it to Hager. Hager joins him for a second. And he's like, yeah, I knew you'd want a drink. He's like, yeah, I need this drink. I'm ready for a fight. And they start brawling. We get a bar brawl. We get a bar fight. Paige broke a pool cue over Hager's back, and he no-sold it. Hager hit a chokeslam on Paige on top of the pool table. Hager dragged Paige across the top of the bar. Hager hit a gut-wrench powerbomb through a table for a near fall. Omega appeared and broke a bottle over Hager's head. Hager no-sold it. Paige and Omega then broke a series of bottles over Hager's head. Omega then hit Hager with a V-trigger, and Paige hit a buckshot lariat off the back of Omega on to Jake Hager. Omega and Paige then toasted as Paige drank whiskey and Omega drank milk. We then see Matt Jackson hit Guevara with a series of Northern Lights suplexes on the field. They played it up as if Matt went from one side all the way to the other, 100 yards. Jericho hit Nick with a first down chain. Matt continued hitting the German suplexes on Guevara till he got to the other side and scored a touchdown. Nick then threw some footballs at Jericho. Jericho sent Nick into the mouth of the Jaguar. Jericho hit the Jaguar's mascot with the Judas effect and did his witch spot with the traffic cone. Jericho then hit Nick with Floyd the Bat and got a 2 off of it. Jericho said, no, that was 3. I challenged the play. I challenged the call. And Aubrey Edward goes, fine, let's go back to the tape. And they literally go into the replay tent. And Jericho gets in there with her. And she's like, oh, you can't be in here. Only officials can be in this tent. And Jericho goes, that was a 3. Check the tape. And she gets out and she goes, the ruling stands. The match will continue. I thought that was a little cheesy, but hey, they threw in some football stuff here. Matt finally hit that end zone with the German suplexes on Guevara, scoring a touchdown. He danced, and Rick Knox penalized him for excessive celebration, so Matt superkicked Knox. Jericho went for a bat shot on Nick, but Matt saved him. Nick then hit a splash out of the stands on Jericho through a table. Paige brought out the field chalk line and whoop, right over the crotch and center line on Jericho. Drew the line. Guevara, crawling around, was awakened by the sprinklers going off. He woke up and all of a sudden thought, no one's around me. I must have won. What happened? Did I win? We won. And that wasn't the case. All of a sudden, Omega and Hardy appear with the golf cart and they start chasing over after Sammy, but Sammy jumped to the barricade into the stands and Omega and Hardy followed to set up the finish of the match. So they're running up the stairs, and I thought they were going to try and get to the highest point of the stadium, but they went about halfway up to where there's a little perch. And Guevara hit Omega and Hardy with boots to the face. And then Matt's new drone, Neo 1, would appear. A black drone called Neo 1. Guess that's a reference to a Brother Nero. and it distracted Sammy Guevara. Omega would then hit a one-winged angel off of this little perch in the stands through a gimmicked platform. They fell quite a ways down, and he pinned Sammy to pick up the victory. The Elite beat the Inner Circle. Matt Jackson gave Omega a Gatorade bath, because you know that's what you do. You either dump Gatorade over your star player or your coach after a big victory, and all 5 members of the team actually posed together with Hangman having his arm right around his tag team championship partner, Kenny Omega. So is Hangman cool with the Elite again, or does he want to distance himself again? We don't know, but all 5 men stood tall together as the show went off the air. And that, my friends, was AEW Double or Nothing. But before we wrap things up, I do have a number of text messages here I do want to read, and I got to give you my rating for the show. If I had to rate the show as a whole, I would probably say 8.5. I don't think it was a 9 or a 10, but I would go 8.5. Solid 8.5. Oh, Antonio Banks says, I thought it was a reference to Matrix. Probably not. I think it was a reference to Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero. Well, I mean, maybe. Because it's Brother Nero, but they called it Neo. So you could be right, and I could be just looking too much into that. Well, the first text message here does state, and remember, guys, if you want to give me your thoughts, you can text 510-906-1341. Again, that's 510-906-1341. This first text message here does state, I thought the show tonight was great. Do you think this show and TakeOver in Your House could be the 2 top shows of the year? Hard to say. I mean, I hate when people ask me that kind of stuff halfway through the year when there's other big shows coming up still throughout the year. I don't know, Kristen, because I didn't know that. You're telling me that for the first time. Again, anything that Tony Khan said in the post-media press conference, I don't know because I'm here doing this with you guys. So if you ask me any questions on what do you think Tony Khan said this, what do you think that Tony Khan said that, fuck if I know, because I haven't listened and watched any of that yet. So there's no way I could know or have a thought about it. Person said, my thought on yesterday's show was that I thought Double or Nothing was amazing. I thought it was just so weird to have Brian Cage win an opportunity for the AEW World Championship in his first night in AEW. And also I feel like they could have done more with Mike Tyson instead of making him sit and watch basically the whole match. I agree that Tyson should have done more or could have done more. Maybe not should have. And it makes all the sense in the world to have Brian Cage win that ladder match, because if he's going to come in as this big monster surprise, he couldn't have lost. No. Person says, do you see Brian Cage winning the AEW World title? Who do you think will be Cody's first feud? What about Shida? Well, I said earlier, I think Shida is going to be an amazing champion and one of the best wrestlers they have in the entire company. Cage, don't think is going to win the belt. And as far as who Cody goes for next, we will know Wednesday after the Battle Royal, because there is a Battle Royal Wednesday on Dynamite to determine Cody's next challenger for, I think, in like 2-3 weeks. So Cody's defending that belt in a couple of weeks. Person says, Ryan Satin tweeted, Cody Rhodes says the mansion on the TNT Championship is Ted Turner's mansion. Also says the final version of the belt may be ready as soon as Wednesday. We know that already. They stated on commentary the belt's not done and needs a little finishing touches and will be completed very, very soon. This person says, do you think AEW is going to groom Brian Cage as the top face of AEW? No. He's a heel of all heels. Being paired with Taz, he can't be a baby face. He's going to be a monster heel. This person says, the Matt Hardy reincarnation pool spot was dumb. Yes and no, because not every body of water should reincarnate him. Only his lake of reincarnation. But with that, guys, I want to say thank you for joining me here to talk about AEW Double or Nothing. I thought it was a really, really fun show. I had a blast watching tonight's show. It seems like all of you guys did as well. So again, thank you guys for watching live right here on YouTube. Thank you for watching later right here on YouTube as well. You can follow us on Twitter, at PW Unlimited. Follow us on Instagram, search Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD. And you can follow me on Twitter at Timmy Buddy, and also follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Timmy Buddy. I'm not sure if I'm going to stream on Twitch tonight, but I promise I will be streaming tomorrow on Twitch, so go from there. Have a good night, guys, and I'll see you next time.